This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Mike, check it out, Mike. I got my second design Sweep the Rack shirt I'm wearing. This is just a perfect shirt, Mike, for your normal like league night. It fits great, soft. I'm like loving this shirt. I've already worn it to dinner. Between this, the dry fit hoodie, and the other one I got, I probably need to buy about 3 more shirts, and I could just have a wardrobe. So I think my next one's going to be the spare, keeping bowlers off house shots, and then hopefully wait for a few more designs to come out. But I'm excited about this shirt. If you guys are interested, InsideBowling.com, t-shirt link, content creator, Patch Pirate has 15%. So I'm throwing that out there right away, Mike. I loving the shirt.
How did it go over at the job? I know you were planning to rock the merch at the job. How did it go over?
It went great. I had a lot of my coworkers were like, "Yo, that's pretty sick." Just even having a T-shirt or a apparel with your picture essentially and logo on it is pretty cool. So
I show up to class the other day, and two students in my class walk in, and what are they rocking? Sweep the Rack hoodies.
yo,
And I was like, what? I'm like, yeah, they're too much. They're too much.
that's awesome. Young kids in high school, they literally high school kids bought the Sweep the Rack apparel.
Eighth graders.
Eighth graders.
Yeah,
Oh, you're middle school. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they got the merch. So
That's
no,
awesome.
It's cool to see, it's cool to see.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like they're doing it to take a shot at me, though. I do. I feel like some of them, it might be their way of taking a shot at me, which is okay.
Yeah, you're
I
a
tell
teacher,
them,
dude.
I know. I tell them all the time. You come at the king, you best not miss. So if you're going to take a shot at me, you better make it count.
You're probably a cool teacher. I mean, I'd imagine you'd be a cooler teacher than some of the old people that used to teach me when I was a kid. Have zero fun, never laugh, never joke. It was just like all business all the time. I'd imagine you're pretty cool, right, in the class. I mean, you probably have a little bit of fun with those kids, no?
I would say that my teaching style is definitely performative. Like you're watching a performance. Like I'm performing. It's like a TV show, and I'm the main character, and I'm performing, and there's jokes involved, and but everything's related to what we're doing, right? Everything's related to the material. Like right now, we're reading Romeo and Juliet, so there's plenty to talk about and joke about, and there's actually like jokes built into the play. If anybody out there is familiar with it, probably not, but nonetheless, I do like to have fun, but I take what I do very seriously. It's all about the business. It's all about the work. The grind doesn't stop. That's one of the phrases that I use in my classroom is the grind doesn't stop, bro. The grind keeps going. We keep working. We keep going.
No, wait. Correction note. The grind does stop for the summer. So
you're right. You're right about that. There is a definitive end to the grind.
My grind don't stop.
But until the last day, the grind continues. Like, I'll be honest with you, and I want to end this conversation after this because I don't want to. I could go on and on and on about this, but I'll say this. So, like, what can I? On the very last day of school, okay, very last day for the year. I would say the vast majority of teachers across the country on the last day of school, for whatever school they're in, whatever state, they're not really doing much. The kids are coming in, they're putting on a movie, they're killing time, they're signing yearbooks, whatever. This is how I roll. Okay, this is going to tell you who I am as a teacher. on the very last day of school. Okay, the kids in my class have already graduated. Their graduation ceremony is the night before, and then they come back for one last day. When they come back on that one last day, I have articles to read with them, and I have a writing assignment for them to do. And I don't care that it's the last day. It doesn't matter to me that it's the last day. Like we're still going to do something valuable. We're still going to
Oh,
do
you
something.
suck, bro. You suck so bad. You suck, man. I don't know what else to say to that. Come on, man.
Other classes are outside playing basketball on the blacktop, and we're in my class. But I'm going to tell you, like the articles. See, now you're making me defend what I do. The articles that I read with them on this day, they're inspirational articles. Like one article is about a kid who started a laundry service at his high school in New Jersey because he knew that there were classmates who like had bad living situations, didn't have a place to clean their clothes, etc. So he started that, and my message to them through that, and what we discuss in relation to the article is, listen, you're going into high school, and like you have the ability to positively impact the community around you. And like I just feel like that's a good message to pass on to them before they go and kind of break for the summer before their high school experience. So listen, it's just the way I roll, bro. I'm just telling you, like, to sit in a classroom doing nothing with a bunch of teenagers is like a nightmare to me. It's a nightmare to me. I'll always have something ready to go, prepared, something, all right, here's how we're going to spend the time. This is what we're going to do.
All right, Mike.
You wouldn't want to be in my class, is what you're saying.
I wouldn't. I would kill you, and I'm sure on behalf of all of your students, I'm gonna tell you suck and boo this man right now for the assignment in the last day. But all right, Mike.
Listen,
well,
I'll end the discussion. I won't say anymore.
All right.
I'll talk to you off there. But I do want to say he doesn't have children. Okay. He doesn't have children. Everyone keep that in mind. All right. So, just throwing that out there. Okay.
I get it. Sort of. Okay,
right,
Mike.
We're here. We're here for the people tonight. That's
so so FYI, we're saving league review. We're saving worst of the week for Sunday because we're gonna go on Sunday. Yo, that's a sick picture, man.
Is that the game Ferrari? Is that St. Peter's game, New Jersey? St. Peter's game Ferrari. What's good?
That's a sick picture with Johnny and Crease. That's it. Yo, that's a great picture. We're gonna save the worst of the week and league review for Sunday. We're gonna be on Sunday, sometime probably afternoon, evening time, normal time. I'd imagine. We'll keep everybody posted on social media. Tonight's about talking World Series of Bowling, Animal Patterns, a bunch of shows. Right, 4 shows, and also the Mike Albee show. Which did we talk? We already talked about Mike Albee show. We went on Sunday, and then the Scorpion show was right after we went on air. Oh, right after we were on air. So we still have 4 shows to talk about, and then the World Championship, which is actually going on right now. They bowled 8 games this morning there, and they have 8 games tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific time. If anybody's wondering on Bowl TV, they'll finish it up that. Cutting to the top 5 of the World Championship show, which is on Saturday, noontime Pacific. So it would be 3 p.m. East Coast, depending where you guys are. And that would be the big Fox, I would imagine, top 5 stepladder. Love live major tournaments, especially betting-wise. But we'll talk more, preview that in a little bit.
World Series recap so far, right? That's what we're here for tonight. World Series recap thus far. No, as you said, no worst of the week. I didn't bowl this week, so there's no league review anyway. We'll get to that on Sunday.
Okay.
Can we start with the betting story? Because I love betting.
Sure. Do you want to talk about Danny D?
There's a new world's best bowling better. I got to give it up. If you follow me on X, you probably saw already, but a college bowling teammate of mine, Dan Dunleavy, a.k.a. Too Small, put in a bet. I believe it was Monday morning, and it was a 3-way parlay for 3 players to sweep. I have it on my phone, and I sent it out on my X account.
Okay, which finished exactly what he did, and then I'm going to give some.
He hit for 11,000. All
$50 bet.
3 matches swept. Okay, all 3 matches swept, and he hit for 11,000. And I can say that on Twitter, on X, sorry, he only sent out the 1 bet. There were actually 3 bets that he hit in that same block. So in total, I believe he hit for about 15 grand in that 1 block. And I mean, I just got to say, bro. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy,
man.
So
what a hit! What a hit! I mean, it's crazy that he made more money betting on bowling in one day than a lot of these guys are going to make for the year, and that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a big problem. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not saying
Slow
that
down.
to be antagonistic. I'm saying that as
Slow down.
I'm not happy about that. But
okay. So here's my deal. Here's my take here. Right. First off, in order to make that bet, right? And I know Dan. I've been friends with Dan since he bowled with Staten Island. He was Staten Island guy, right? Known Dan my whole life.
Yeah, I mean him. So if you want to know the connection, like him and Stillman came to St. Peter's together. They came together. I hosted them together for like their overnight stay and whatnot.
So
they're Staten Island guys. Been around bowling for a long time.
So we need to slow down here. So we need to slow down because Kevin's like he'd be top of 20 on the money list. Okay, he won 15 grand. Kudos to him. Amazing bets, right? But for him to make that bet in the first place on a $50 bet that 3 people are going to sweep on a 3-leg parlay, that just tells me that he's betting just crazy stuff. Okay, crazy stuff. And I want to know. I want to know how much money he's lost. Because you see the wins.
I don't, listen, yeah, you can hit him up yourself. He knows you personally. He knows me. But
I've known him forever.
He ain't gonna, maybe he'll send you a screenshot of his DraftKings or Bet Rivers gambling, lifetime account. But I know that because we run in similar circles. We know a lot of the same people. The man is a gambler.
He's a gambler.
The man is a gambler. I mean, this goes back years and years and years. Okay, like Danny and the other guys on my team when we went to college bowling tournaments. Do you want to know how they would spend their time? They would spend their time playing Texas Hold'em. Like before it was even that popular, they would do this, and they would play on the computer. They would play in person, and so these guys are gamblers. Okay,
I mean, Dan
is a gambler.
Mike, when we were 17, 16 years old, we were playing cards in the hotel room when we were bowling junior tournaments, right? Like we would play high-low and we'd play all kinds of games.
Yeah.
We were always gambling, even when we were 16. But all I'm saying is, look, shouts to Big Dan, right? I love Dan, known him even before you knew him.
But your advice to him is shut it down.
My advice to him is I want to see the funerals as well as I want to go to the weddings. Okay, like I'll go to the $15,000 wedding, but I also want to see the hundreds, if not thousands, of funerals that he's been taking. And is that $15K just get him back to even? For the year. You know what I mean? Like,
doesn't matter to me. I'll be honest. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just blown away by the gambling nature of that bet. And
crazy hit though.
I mean, that's just
crazy hit. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't jealous.
sick.
It's a great hit. It's a great hit.
Yeah, no question.
So that's the big gambling storyline of this week. Is there's a new world's best bowling bettor.
I love 3Bet1. I want to know who you are more than anybody who watches this show. He says Danny's going to be, by the end of the year, he's going to be minus 25,000.
Probably 100%.
Well, listen, if he is, God bless him. If he is, God bless him, because if you got it to lose, number one, God bless you. Number two, if he's down, then he's down. At least he had these hits. If he didn't have these hits, he'd be down even more. So, take it for what it's worth. But yeah, just, as somebody who loves putting bets like that in, to have one of those pay off is just sick. But I mean, listen, like you put in an 8-leg parlay, you put last year, was it, or was it earlier this year? It was last year, I think, right?
Last year,
where you hit an 8-leg parlay. We didn't bet a lot on it, but you hit it.
I did.
You had another one this year where you went 7 out of 8, right? So
yeah, and I've only put in
not,
total, literally, in honest to God, I've really only put in about 3 to 4 8-leg parlays since we were allowed to bet bowling. So I've been literally close on one, hit on one, and lost on the other 2. So I'll take that percentage any day of the week. But if I keep putting 8-leg parlays in, I'm going to lose more than I'm going to win. Like to hit on one of those is I mean, that's what the odds are, right? Why the odds are crazy. You're not going to continuously hit on those type of bets. For what he did, a 3-leg with 3 sweeps, because he bet the -2.5 spread on 3 different matches,
right? And
is crazy.
I think it's also important to say that, there was a little bit of an edge there because of the best of 5. Betting the sweep in the best of 7 is much harder than the sweep in the best of 5.
He would have hit for double the amount on that bet if probably the odds would have been.
So like, if you're going to put a bet like that in, it's an advantageous opportunity with the best of 5 format, right?
He'll never hit anything like that ever again. I'll just go out and say that.
I wouldn't say that.
But hey, look, next time I see him, maybe he'll buy me a beer. Anyway,
but nice bet. So as far as me, I put bets in for some people this week who were hitting me up to help them out. But I'll be honest, I didn't really bet much this week.
You laid off.
I think I bet like $50 on a match, a parlay, like winner and over, winner and under, like once or twice, and they both lost. One of them was the Kevin McCune match the other night, where I think he was shooting 260. He already had the match wrapped up, and he needed to go up. And all I needed him to do was not double to win my bet. And of course, he doubles and shoots 260. So yeah, I really didn't bet much. Nico commented earlier that it's the best week in bowling, and I do agree. It's awesome to have this much bowling to watch this consistently, but because of the time difference and because of the way the schedule was set up with the first round of match play and then a week break and then you had the other rounds of match play, honestly it's been really hard to keep track of it. I don't really want to be putting blind bets in 10 minutes before I leave for work in the morning, so it's been tough.
We talked about that.
Yeah, I didn't really get to bet the match play very much at all because of the time. It's just the timing of it. So it's fine. I'm okay with it. Quite frankly, we've been ice cold recently anyway. So yeah. I haven't had much of an opportunity.
And also a big part of it too is like a lot of these international players making the step ladder has kind of thrown it for a loop a little bit on the shows because we're not used to seeing these guys. A lot of these guys were first timer on the shows, and you don't really know their style, their game, like how if they're going to be really good on TV, if they're going to collapse. I will say this though, that pair that they've been using at the World Series for the TV shows, I would bet the under probably every match. Every match I would have bet the under. That's where I saw the consistency of the scores. If you were to bet the over and under and they were setting it like 435 or 445, which is usually around the average, maybe get to 425 depending on the scores. I just think you keep betting the under and you're going to hit more than you're going to lose. So that would be just because the left lane was it was just beating everybody up. And if you did throw good shots, you tend to like not carry on that lane too. So that was the common denominator that I saw. But I think like this weekend, the top 5 step ladder at the World Championship, I think the way that the scores and the pattern is shaping up, and I think it's going to be a good betting day for us. I do. You have a top 5 step ladder, you could get comfortable with what's going on with the pattern. All the players probably that are going to be on the show. I don't see any unusual names that are going to be in the top 5. So I think it's going to be one of those shows where I think we could actually hit more. We'll make money than we'll lose. So I'm excited about Saturday because the World Championships will be on live at noon. So plus you got the bracket, the NCAA. It's going to be a good day to.
I couldn't care less about the NCAA tournament.
It's good fun to bet here and there if you just kind of like are just sitting around watching a game or two. For me, I have a friend.
Are the Peacocks in it? No. Then I don't
No.
care about it.
Whatever. It's still betting. It's still a way to. It's still an excuse to go out and watch the games with some friends and make some bets. And there's some always good endings to some of those games too. So, all right, let's talk a little bit. With storylines here, Mike. Storylines for the World Series
overall.
Yeah.
Well, come on. I mean, the number one storyline is obviously. Well, take your pick, right? It's either EJ Tackett's dominance. Okay. Or the international players winning the majority of these events. And I'll go a step further. The unknown international players winning these events. So what is it to you?
Let's talk about the international players because I do think the international players threw the week more for a loop than EJ because we expect EJ to do EJ type things these days. And he did exactly that. He did the same thing last year on a lefty-friendly World Series last year, right? This year, I think the international players played a role into a lot of the other players not making shows, right? They took some spots away from a lot of the normal name players, right? A lot of these international players did.
Well, that would be my other point. I think that would have been my third take. Is just I'm watching these shows and it's like there's a lot of names that I expected to be there and be on shows and be competitive in the World Series of Bowling, however you want to phrase it, right? And they're not. They're not there. You know, you got your EJ, right? You got some of your regular name pros mixed in, but I would say some names that we haven't necessarily seen in a while. Milk Carton, if you will. Packy Hanrahan on a show. Milk Carton, no. Tom Smallwood on a show. Milk Carton, yes. You know, so you had
Kevin McCune.
You've had some of the guys who've been dominating, right? Like your Tim Foy, your EJ Tackett, mixed with some of the guys who, you know, haven't really been in the mix much. And then you had a whole bunch of international players, you know, who found it. And again, one of my takes would be just my shock at some of the names who were not that competitive in this World Series.
Yeah, like some names just throwing out there, right? Give me. I know that there was some pretty decent names that had a really struggled on what they were putting out.
If we're gonna name names, I'm gonna have to name a list because I really don't want to single out one or two guys, right? And I want to be clear, I did not make up a list. So if you want to give me 30 seconds and you know a little bit of time to think about it, like you know,
there's some names that I could go through.
Johnson? Where's AJ Johnson? Where's Matt Russo? Where's Bill O'Neill? Where's Tommy Jones? Where's
Sean Rash?
Where's Graham Fa? Where's Graham Fa? Where's Simonson? Where's Simonson? Where's Kyle Troop?
Marshall Kent.
Where's Buttriff? You know, these are names that going into the World Series, you know, I would have said, okay, yeah, you know,
Don Barrett.
Give me those guys. Don Barrett, yeah. Another one. That's what I'm saying. Like you could have a list, right? And I really don't want to single people out. Where's Ryan Barnes? I know he made one show, right? He made a show. Okay, all right.
I mean, Kyle Sherman. I mean, you could just go down the list, right? Like,
yes.
Nate Purchase.
Matt Ogle made a show. Correct? Am I right that Matt Ogle made a show?
No, he didn't make a show
No,
this
he
week.
didn't. Okay.
No,
All
he
right,
didn't make
all
a
right.
show this week. And you could go through some of the names you normally see, guys that kind of pop in and out that really stand to, right? Like you think that after a win this
That's another
early in the
one.
year,
That's
Jake
another one. Yeah.
Peters, Stu Williams. I mean, you could just
And
kind of go.
instead, we're going to talk about Rasmus Edval and
We Seong Darren Ong.
Darren Ong, right?
Yep.
Who's the third international guy that won?
Tune Amril Lukman Al Hakim.
Al Hakim, right?
Yep.
These are the guys we're going to talk about. So I don't know. I don't know what the takeaway there is yet.
Here's my takeaway. Here's my takeaway is the interesting part, right, of this whole week to me is the fact that 3 non-exempt international players won the first 3 World Series events. Yet, if you look right now at the World Championship top 16, the only name that is out of the list is Wee Seong Darren Ung right now. That's in 15th place. So what does that tell me?
Read the rest. Can you read that list top to bottom?
Belmonte, Tackett, Foy, Boog, Jesper, Vi, Moore, Hoope, Kyle Troop, Andrew Anderson, Tomas Larson, Ethan Fiore, Matt Ogle, Zach Wilkins, Wee Seong Darren Ung, and Landon Carnate. So you know what that tells me, Mike? That tells me the cream still rises to the top, right, at this event. This also tells me that those specific international players that won, except for Darren Ong, right, struck lightning on the one pattern. They won it, and they didn't really consistently perform on the other 3 patterns in order to make the World Championship.
Well, I'd have to go a little bit deeper into the standings to really jump on the bandwagon.
So do you want me to read the advance round, the next like 16 bowlers after the top 16?
Yeah.
Keiko, Doherty, Prather, Archer, Maldonado, Simonson, Knowles, Buttriff. Right? Then that's 24. Then 25th is Nathan Ress. I don't even want LaHoy, the Quebec kid.
Right.
LaJoy, McCune, Roberts, Bailey Maverick, Ryan Barnes, Smallwood. Top 30, Mike. Right? And then you start getting some of the names that we saw. Rafiq Ishmael, Dombrowski, Pontus Anderson, Bill O'Neill, Will Bergen, Yuma Haraguchi, Zach Weedman, then Al Hakim, Teese, and Mode Fishol 40th. So is that safe to say that my point of view?
Well, first of all,
correct?
that makes hearing that makes me think that a couple guys we mentioned should be taken off that list, unless we're talking about, hey, I expect this guy to be on a show, to make a show with this many shots at a show in a week, right? I don't know. I think that's not a bad performance from some of those guys. It's not like Al Hakim is, deep down in the standings of
like
the World
100th, right?
Championship.
Yeah.
I think that would speak more to the point that you were making.
Agreed.
But yeah, it is shocking though. It is shocking because these guys come over. You really don't know who they are, what levels they're competing at, but they find a way to get the job done. They find a way to get the job done. Now, I will say, in at least 2 of those instances, I feel like EJ Tackett kind of lost the title more than those guys won it. And I'm not taking anything away from those guys, but we saw the old EJ Tackett just appear for like a split second there, a couple nights in a row, just a few errant shots at the wrong time. Maybe a not so great decision to move right on the left lane in the Wei Song Darren Ong match, I believe it was. Your EJ Tackett, why are you moving right, bro? Just keep moving left. I mean, that's what you do. Yes, like that's That's his A game. So yeah, but it's shocking though. Like I said,
Yeah.
I still stand by most of what I'm saying in terms of not the names you would expect, and kind of shocking to watch those guys get the job done. Like who I who would have thought that Rasmus Edville was going to run the ladder? That's just mind blowing. Mind blowing.
I mean, I know like he won, right? And I'm not gonna take credit away from him, but everything was going right for him. I mean, Ryan Barnes bowled like 130 or 140 the first match, right? And then he bowls Tobias boarding or bearding, whatever, and then bowls 180 in a match where you're just like, man, nobody wants to win this match. Then Tackett like through some big splits in that match, I believe, just trying to remember, right? And there's a lot of bowling.
Lanes were very ugly. You know,
Yeah,
it seemed like you definitely had the advantage being the guy who was staying on, right, as opposed to the guy who was coming in fresh in that
He
show.
did break up a lot of splits too, Adval. It seemed like all of his opponents, whenever they missed, they split, and he had that look where if you go through the nose, you didn't split, which, hey, kudos to him for finding that look, because if you're the only one that's not splitting and you're being able to just stay clean while your opponents are just shooting themselves in the foot, then hey, a win's a win, right? And then Rafiq, or as I call him, the Rocket Ishmael, he just didn't have it. Like,
yeah, didn't have it. No, you're right. 180, right?
Well, 172, and I think that the way the tournament was ran, and it just, I think those stepladder pairs were nothing like what they were seeing in qualifying and match play. It just was like these patterns were so high scoring, right? And then all of a sudden they're on this one pair that just kind of broke down ugly, and now you're in an ugly drag out kind of nasty looking match when all of your other matches in qualifying were high scores, right?
Right.
Yeah.
One more overall point would be the short formats, right? And it kind of goes along with the point you were making about the cream rising to the top in the World Championship standings, as opposed to what we saw. But the short formats definitely contribute to that too. You only had 12 games of qualifying, right, on each pattern, and then the best of 5 match play. So easy to get hot, easy to have a good look for a number of games. But I will say this: it was interesting to see different guys on the show, different names, different styles of bowling. Like that's one aspect of the shows that I was definitely into, because we were getting some parity in what we were seeing. Find it really interesting that the Thomas Boarding guy seems like he was bowling the World Series in the middle of a work trip, from what they were saying. And I mean, that's incredible. You're bowling in the middle of a work trip and you make a show. That's pretty sick.
So I gotta make a comment here, because it drove me crazy watching this show, the Scorpion show. Why is bowling have the only international players that have like no emotion? Like, why is bowling the only sport like I watch these other sports, right? I'm gonna get into it right now a little bit. Why is bowling the only sport that we have international players that, one, the emotions seem like really, really just kind of like dreadful, like, and they're bowling, I get it, but where's their fan? I saw their fans in the crowd, and I was hoping like for more of like that international crowd vibe, right? Where if you watch some of these dart shows that, Mike, you like to sometimes put on Twitter, it's absolutely bonkers. If you play a dart tournament,
foreign guy makes a poker final table as people come and they're out of control.
It's no, why can't bowling have that? Why can't we have nice things too, Mike?
I don't know, but Fred in the chat, I just took it down, says these shows were painful to sit through at times. Folks agree? Anybody have comment on that? Anybody
I do.
Want to respond to him? Go ahead.
I do. I agree. I overall just feel of these shows, I just thought that it was just kind of going through the motions. Like there wasn't a whole lot of storylines that interested me, except for maybe EJ Tackett. And yes, I like seeing the different styles. The reason why I like seeing different players on the shows is because I'm hoping we could strike lightning in a bottle with a player that has some charisma and has some out of the box personality that could maybe jumpstart one of these shows and be like, oh man, like who's this kid? Like we need to see this kid. We need more of him. And it's just like every time we get one of those players, it's just like, it's just kind of going through the motions. It's kind of blah and just mediocre and just like, I don't know. That's kind of how I felt in general. But
not this guy in the chat though.
Yo,
Tim Ford.
that 10 pin you left when the match was out, and then literally Smallwood brings you back in on a 5-1, and you get up and throw it. I was hurting with you, man.
And I love the emotion. Really that's what I'm saying. It's why I brought it. Like I love the emotion. You see him leave the 10, and he's like, ugh. Like you feel that, you understand that, right? So I love the emotion. Tim, good luck the rest of the way, man. I noticed you made a little run today, and then Belmo and EJ decided to put the pedal on the gas.
Dude, Dougie's like, yo, he don't bowl for another 45 minutes. Yo, let the guy have some sweep the rack, man. He's just chilling.
He's chilling. What's up, Dougie? What's good, bro?
But man, like, it's just the international players. Yes, they give a different feel to the show. They're new faces. But man, I'm looking for that, like, really international guy who brings the international crowd with him. I'm talking like Mike.
You want Arturo. You want Arturo.
No. Well,
you want Arturo. Yeah, you do.
I want Conor McGregor in his prime, Mike. I want Conor McGregor in his prime. That's what bowling needs. Bowling needs Conor McGregor, okay? We need someone who's going to talk a little shit, okay? Crowd is going to be absolutely bonkers and backs it up on the lanes.
All right, there's a couple comments we have to bring up here. Hold on. I gotta go back up. Fred said Packy is great for TV. Agreed.
I like Packy. Packy is really good for TV.
I like that too. Mike O'Brien says, I was waiting for Mike J to pipe in crowd noise for all the quietness. It was awful quiet. And I also want to comment and say that there were a lot of bowling people sitting in the front rows. And to me, when you have a lot of bowlers and bowling related people sitting in the front rows, do you know what that means? We know what that means, Rob, but does everybody know what that means? That means that people ain't showing up to watch. Okay? That's what it means. Now, that's not real surprising because they're in Reno. And like, you know, the local base in Reno, I would imagine, ain't really coming out to watch, maybe a little bit. And people who are traveling to Reno certainly aren't going to be like, oh, professional bowling's in town. Let me go to that. So
nobody's in town in general there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I understand that aspect of it.
So I got
these shows looked like they were, you know, kind of sparsely attended for the most part. And yeah, the vibe was not real good. Go ahead, Rob.
So I talked to some pros bowling out there this week. They came back and they were telling me that Reno is very empty. The city itself is a very empty city. And being experienced, I was there a couple of years ago. I stopped in Friday afternoon on a layover. Well, not a layover. I was driving into Tahoe, and I stopped there to pick up my friend who was staying downtown. Friday afternoon in a casino, and we were the only people in the casino, and it was a major casino out there. And I heard it's actually worse. And that really the only thing keeping the city alive is the actually bowling stadium down there, from like all the bowlers and the fan and everybody coming in for the opens. But man, like I can't imagine them getting a lot of people to show up that are in that area. So any pros that are bowling, if Tim is, if you're still in the chat, how is this city right now? I've heard it's just kind of deserted at some point.
I will say I watch a lot of the Belmo vlogs because I watch them. I watch a lot of bowling content in general. But he had some really funny comments this week and funny interactions There was one time where he was walking down the street and this lady like yelled at him, and he was just always looking around at his surroundings and stuff. And I just thought, oh man, Reno must be in bad shape, because he definitely had a few undercover comments, I would say. All right, so a few more comments I want to bring up here before we because we do want to talk about some of the step ladders here. Robert Hamilton, what up, man? Says Packy is the only one that still gets the crowd hyped up and clapping while he's throwing the ball. But Robert, can I say, like, even the vibe on that wasn't that great? It wasn't that great. Ian El Matty D says we need bet takers in the stands, like Kickboxer. I love it. Matty D, make that happen. I love that. That would be great. You'd have people hyped up, So, look who it is. World's best bowling better. World's best bowling better is in the chat.
What's that?
We were talking about you. We were talking about you earlier, so you can rewind and listen. So, but yeah, nice bet, man. We talked about it earlier, no doubt.
Tim says that being the shows at 4 p.m. is I'd imagine that is also.
Yeah, the schedule's been brutal.
People work.
Schedule's been brutal, right? Who's going to be taking off work to do that? So yeah, listen.
Shouts to Chris, by the way. Let me talk a little about Chris Briggs. Chris Briggs was the gentleman in the crowd that had the Sweep the Rack sign. So big shouts to you, Chris, man. We appreciate the support. Love it. We advise as many fans as we can to bring the Sweep the Rack signs. If you're going to be sitting in the show, we'll call you out on our show. It's pretty awesome. Cassandra, how you doing? How's everything going? Nico, so you want to watch the show at 11 p.m. when it's in Reno at 8? That's a good point, too. It's tough West Coast.
No, I don't. I understand the realities of that, but, it's just tough. It's just tough to have to see that. It doesn't help create the great product that you really want to put out there for bowling, right? So
let's talk about. You want to get into?
Do you have a Brinks truck backing up to your house or something?
It's a Cox. They're doing work out
wealthy. I know you're wealthy.
Wealthy. I'm not wealthy.
Oh, you're wealthy, bro. Are you kidding me? You people should see the pictures he sends me. Are you kidding?
Dude, what? Of what?
I thought it was a Brinks truck backing up to your house. I thought all the merch sales hit.
No, it's actually the truck carrying Dan Dunleavy's money. It's carrying Dan Dunleavy's money. They're going to his house.
There you go. They just got the wrong address.
Yeah. So let's talk about a little bit some of the other shows. I think one of the interesting shows was at least the Viper when Belmo bowled Tackett. I think that to me was the most intriguing match of the whole week, in my opinion, because you have the EJ GOAT, best in the world right now. I might call him the GOAT, right? But soon to be GOAT, I think. Bowling one of the GOATs, Belmonte, and the match went off as you would think it would have went off, right? But even Belmo got caught in the urethane, man. And I feel like that's been a storyline too of some of these matches where they're just these pros that are blowing on TV are just getting caught in urethane mid-match. The lanes are changing, they're transitioning, and it's so hard for them to get out of it. And I feel like that's a storyline. On almost every show we see, there's somebody using urethane and transition hits and the urethane stops working and it costs them 2 or 3 frames in the middle of the match. And in a high-scoring match, when you're bowling EJ Tackett, you can't afford to have those 2 or 3 frames. And I feel like even Belmo got caught in the opening match.
If I ran the PBA, especially after these shows and seeing how some of the patterns broke down and the struggles that the players had and whatnot. I mean, after they're averaging ridiculous numbers in qualifying and whatnot, and then you see some of the lower scores on TV, I actually think that they need to consider, and if I ran the PBA, I'd probably make this change tomorrow, where there's no bowling on the TV pair until the show starts.
Ooh. Have you ever brought that up to any of the tour reps or any of the people out there when you're talking to them?
I have not. I actually only thought of it the other night watching one of the shows. Because it just looked like the pair broke down in such an awkward way, and Randy and I think it was the show that Packy was in the booth. They were kind of talking about that, or no, it was Kyle Troop in the booth, I think, and Yeah, I just thought to myself, like, look, if the practice environment is making it so that these guys do not have anywhere near the look that they had in the regular event, then perhaps we need to consider not allowing them to bowl on the TV pair until the competition starts. They can go
Now,
warm up on another pair. Why not go let them warm up on another pair in the first match? The guys go in, they bowl, they start. Next match, guy comes in, he gets a couple shots on that pair, and that's it. They start the match. I mean,
I I don't really think they've been doing that the same way for so long. Like, I feel like it's just part of bowling on TV that they're practicing on the pairs and stuff. I think if these are the best in the world, then they should be able to make the necessary adjustments and moves to still be able to win the match when their look leaves as quick as it does with urethane. Belmo got hit with it, and it's quick and it's hard to do to get out of it. And he did get out of it quicker than a lot of people, but he was just kind of far behind in that match already. So I don't know, that show was a little bit interesting to me. I do think that EJ was primed to win that match and just gave it away in a sense in the finals against Darren Ong. I think he split, right? I believe in the final, the couple of shots in that 8th or 9th frame, and really, but he was up in that match. I'm just remembering exactly how that match played out, but that was EJ's show to win. And he gave it away in a sense, finishing in second.
So was the Rasmus Edville match. I mean,
Correct.
Same thing.
Yeah, just he was his own worst enemy in those, and I don't think EJ liked that pair they bowled on, the television pair. I think he struggled on that pair, and him struggling is him almost winning, like, which is still crazy to me because he's that good. I got to bring up this comment because Rudy's in the chat. Bro, your brother dead fished me at the regional. I know, he told me he saw you. My brother Jeff bowled his first PBA 50 regional this past weekend and finished actually in like the top 8. And he called me up. He's like, you'll never guess. I saw Rudy and I shook his hand and he dead fished. And Rudy's like, man, after all these years, you're going to dead fish me. So if anybody doesn't know what a dead fish is, by the way, next time you bowl a match against someone and you want to mentally psych them out, hold your hand like this. It's a straight, like stiff as a board. And then when you shake your opponent's hand, you just give them the dead fish, and then they just kind of, it's a mental psych out. So you learn something new. But when you do it to your opponent, don't expect them to be happy you did it. So just FYI, that's not exactly a friendly maneuver. It's gamesmanship.
Mr. Revs, please reach out.
Yeah, I got to call him.
Other peer shot brother.
I got to call him.
Let's make it happen, Mr. Revs. The people deserve it, man. I'm a bowling historian, Mr. Revs. I was at the Bryant Park show. Okay? So let's make it happen. Come on. Let's talk. Let's talk some bowling. Let's talk some bowling history. Okay.
So anyway, that was one of those just shows that I was just like, they had one or two good matches, and the Chameleon, to be honest with you, that was the one show that I just happened to like kind of check out a little bit, but didn't really watch it from the start to finish. It's tough for me, like Tim said in the chat, being at 4 p.m. It's tough for me to be able to watch a 2-hour show at 4 p.m. during the week. But this was the show where Kevin McCune looked like after he bowled at Andrew and bowled 260, you're like, man, like, how is anybody going to beat this kid when he's on like that? And Al Hakim bowled 269, kind of like can't really do none in that end. But what do you think of this show, Mike? I think you might have watched this show more than I watched it. I just saw highlights and just kind of knew what was happening.
Yeah, well, that game with Kevin McCune was the game that I just missed hitting the parlay with McCune in the under. So I sat out the next game because I was so frustrated by what unfolded. And I did not bet on Hakeem. I hadn't seen him throw a shot all week, so I had no idea what the guy was going to be doing. But I will say that Kevin McCune looked amazing in that game against Andrew Anderson, and I would also like to say, Andrew Anderson, very impressed by his performance at the World Series Bowling this week. No question. I mean, he's somebody that he's come around, right? Like he has made changes. He is bowling really well. He has come around. Very impressed with how he bowled this week. But yeah, that was actually, I thought that was a pretty good show, just because of and that match with Anderson, between Anderson and McCune, it actually was a lot closer than it appeared. Like going into the 8th frame, it was almost an even match. McCune was up, but Anderson was still in it. And then Anderson got up in the 8th and 9th frame, I believe, or the 9th and 10th frame, and did not strike in either frame. And that created the separation there and kind of gave McCune the match in hand, sitting on the bench. So a little, not a lot of drama at the end of that match. And then same thing in the Hakeem match, where McCune was kind of in it through 6 frames. Like, he was still competitive. There was still a chance he was gonna go down to the wire. But then when McCune got up later in the game, I think 7th, 8th frame, 8th, 9th frame, and did not strike, it was sort of like, all right, well, Hakeem kind of won sitting on the bench again. So
I did see that EJ Tackett finish. I did see that finish of EJ Tackett with Andrew, and EJ got like wrapped up the gills to lose that match. Or he could have struck out to tie, I think it was, or whatever it was. But I mean, he threw a good shot and got pretty bad wrapped. Yeah. And then the final show was the one that was on yesterday, the Shark Championship. It looked like Tom Smallwood was going to run this ladder. Jesper, hate to say it, doing Jesper things on TV. He's struggles on TV. I don't remember the last time he's won. Maybe when was the last time he's won a singles title?
Don't recall off the top of my head. I'd have to look.
Yeah, it's been a while though. I don't know the exact date or month, but it's been a while. Jesper seems to just struggle when the urethane doesn't give it to him. Smallwood, after he opened
the new urethane too. Like, these guys are so good that 1 or 2 hits means everything, right? And this new urethane, it just doesn't have the pop that the older urethane had, and you can see it. Yeah. He leaves a week 7 more often than he used to. So yeah, it's just like that 1 or 2 hits a game.
Robert Hamilton says he won the strike derby. Yeah, that's the title.
Mr. Rebs is commenting on Ethan Fiore, the first two-handed stroker. We talked about him in our last episode, Mr. Rebs. He was on the Mike Albee show, and we talked about him. Very impressed with his game. Yes,
love his balance.
Love his balance at the line. Very, very fundamentally sound, I would say, particularly for a two-hander.
Yeah, and then
oh my God, Tyler Shingle. Like, this is not a hot take, bro. I mean, I understand the Tackett Fiore match, best match on TV this season, best match on TV, top 5 ever,
ever.
Top 5 ever, bro. I've been watching bowling for 30 some years. Top 5 ever, Tyler. So yes. All right. So we talk Chameleon Show, right? We talk Scorpion Show, Shark Show.
Yeah, Shark Show with Floyd Smallwood match. That was an interesting match to me because I like, if Tim's still in the chat, I like hearing Tim's self-talk because he sounds a little bit like me bowling a match. Like, man, it's just not my day. Just kind of not catching the breaks that I need, whatever. And you're kind of like bowling. You bowl when it hits the pocket. You're not striking. You're hanging around. You just make a ball switch. Looks good. And then all of a sudden, Smallwood goes 5-1 in the 10th, which all Smallwood needed was, I think, to fill, 8 in 2 balls to tie, to like guarantee a tie. And he 5-1s to open the door for Foy, who then gets up throws an amazing first shot, and you're like, man, if Foy wins this match, I don't think he's going to lose the rest of the night. Like, I kind of had that feeling. And then he got so wrapped. That
Great
10
shot.
was just
Great
a
shot.
nasty 10. And he went from such a roller coaster of emotions in like 2 frames. You went from thinking you're out of the match, you're done, to all of a sudden now you have hope. Like, holy crap, I caught a good break here. And then you're back to like, oh, it's just not my night again. Like, you just complete roller coaster for Foy. But that was a very interesting match. And to be honest with you, I had to go somewhere, and I was literally walking out the door, and I just happened to like hang out to watch Smallwood throw that 5-1. And I'm like, oh, well, it looks like I'm staying. So I thought the match was over too. I was literally heading out the door.
Nico doing some research. Lucky Larson last year was the last title for Jesper Svensson, but Nico says ignore that. The last title for Jesper, David Small's Best of the Best Championship, Jackson, Michigan in 2022. In 2022, we have Mr. Revs commenting. It's definitely that match between Fiore and Tackett was definitely right up there with the Weber-Fagan match at the U.S. Open. Robert Hamilton saying that roll-off took over the top spot from the Duke-Traber roll-off. I have a project for us for the summer, Rob, when it's slow and there's not a lot of bowling on. And let's remember this. We should both come up with our top 5 matches in PBA history.
Yeah,
top
the one match
televised matches.
Top match for me was the Mika Norm Duke match.
Oh, that was such a good one.
Yeah, where Mika missed the 10-pin at the arrows to lose.
Man, I'd have so many picks. I could do a top 10 list on that. So
all right, we'll sidebar that because I want to get
what we should do is we should bring those matches up and we should rewatch them during the summer.
Yeah,
when we have week by week. We should do it. Reveal our list week by week. Remember that idea.
Watch.
Hold us.
So JG, you're wrong. He started with the IQ 78 and then switched to the level when the game was out. And if you want to consider the level not urethane, whatever it is, nobody uses it. So it's another marketing smokescreen by Storm there for one of their new releases.
All right, so Smallwood beats Foy.
Smallwood beats Foy, both Packy in a good match.
Yeah, Packy just threw one out the window. I mean, that was just such a bad shot at a bad time. I know he made the spare, but that was just atrocious.
Bad. That was a bad shot. And Smallwood just doing Smallwood things, right? Like, he's really good. He's for how his style is. Smallwood is a very good shot maker for how his style is. And he's very unique in his full roller and just how he rolls it. And when Smallwood gets comfortable and they're a little bit tougher, he's hard to beat sometimes. So he beats Packy in a close one, and then runs into the EJ Tackett buzzsaw in the final match. EJ wasn't losing. His shark is EJ owns, I think, the shark pattern. I think I can't pull the numbers up now, but I think he's won majority of the shark pattern tournaments. The extra length and volume for sure helps him create that push that he needs, and he's able to create that area with his hand and his speed.
So sick. It's so sick that in an era of, where the obsession is two-handed and rev rate and
urethane,
and he's just, one-handed, just ungodly strap god on the ball, and he's just killing people.
But crazy. the shot making is, and I think I remember hearing Belmo talk about it. I believe Belmo was doing the commentary, I think, on the show. And Belmo made a very interesting point that when he bowls next to EJ during qualifying or match play, when EJ starts off with like 2, 3, 4 in a row, that's going to go to 7, 8, 9 in a row. Like, it's when Belmo was saying that, Belmo's going, this kid is for real. He's taken over the greatest bowler in the planet today, right? There's no doubting that. He has Player of the Year locked. He has Player of the Year locked because he's going to finish in the top 3 of this World Championship show. Okay, he's going to finish there. And you're voting right now. How is he, even if he, Mike?
He's made all but 2 shows, and one of them was the double show.
He's already got a major.
He won the U.S. Open.
And
he won
a title.
The Shark Championship. Yeah, I mean, you're right.
He's already won Player of the Year. He's already locked it up. And the World Championship, if he, like, dude, the level of dominance this year so far is, I think, unmatched at this point for a year.
Yeah, we talked about it I talked about that a few weeks ago, right? How like he's in a category with a few guys who have been able to just dominate an era, dominate several years.
Nico writes in the chat, unless Andrew wins 2 majors. Can we just stop? I think even if Andrew wins 2 majors, he's still not winning Player of the Year. How about that? Mike, how about that? How about that statement? If Andrew wins 2 majors, I think he's still losing Player of the Year. Because I think the full body of work by EJ right now is still better, honestly, of what he's doing.
I don't know. That's a tough question.
It's crazy to think about. That someone could win 2 majors in one season and still not win Player of the Year.
Yeah, but I highly doubt that's going to be the case.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, I'd love to see it. That'd be crazy. I'm not rooting against him, but that would be crazy. But, you know, if EJ gets the World Championship, you might as well just give it to him now.
Yeah, no doubt. But
yeah.
So it's been a good week, Rob. It's been a good week of watching bowling. We're glad we got to catch up with the people tonight. Go over these step ladders. You know, congrats, seriously, to all the players who won titles. You know, especially the international guys who are newly minted PBA champions. I mean, it's always so cool to see somebody win their first title, and have that sink in on live television. So very special there. So congrats to those guys. Last block of World Championship match play going on now. Yes,
27 minutes
going on. Going on in a little bit here. So
real quick, I'm gonna go through who is in the top 5 right now. Belmo, Tackett, Foy, Boog, and Jesper is top 5. 6 to 10, Vi, Moore, Hoope, Kyle, and Andrew Anderson. So you got 8. They have 8 games until the show. Jesper right now is plus 2276, 15 pins ahead of Vi. And
how many pins is Troop out of the show?
Troop is out of the show. Troop right now is plus 2171. Jesper is 2276. So it's about 105 pins out, which is nothing in match play.
How many pins out is Andrew Anderson?
Andrew Anderson is 2043. So about 240 pins outish.
Oh, that's too much. All right. So Troop's the last guy who has a chance to make the show.
Troop is the last guy, and I think 100 pins. He's in 9th.
Okay.
So Hoope
in a match play block is a lot, but he can go 7-1, 6-2, and get there, right?
Yeah, 30 pin a match play, 100 pins is really not a lot. In my opinion.
Give me Troop on that show, and I'll take that show with the other 4 guys with Troop in the 5th seed. I'd love that.
So who do you think backs out then of the 5? You think Jesper?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to predict anyone backing out. I'm just saying that Troop. What would it be? It would be Troop. Who was
Kroll,
4th?
Bug,
Kroll, Foy,
Tackett, Belmo. Great show.
Take that. Give me that.
Great
show. That's a great
even if the show finished the way it is now, with Jesper, Bug, Foy, Tackett, Belmonte. I mean, who could ask? That's a really good show.
It's a great show. I'm a Kyle Troop fan. I think he brings an energy to the show. I think kind of needs that. You know, the like I said, the energy's been a little bit lacking on the shows this week. So, but yeah, I'll be watching. I'm definitely going to check it out. We appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We appreciate everybody checking out the extra pod we're doing here just to wrap up these shows from the World Series. Once again, shout to Dunleavy for that sicko bet That should go viral, bro. I said it on Twitter. That should go viral. So if you're listening, get on X and retweet that. Let's get that out there. That something like that could bring people to the gambling side of bowling. So only the World Championship remains. 3 p.m. Eastern Saturday.
Sorry, Big Fox.
3 p.m. Eastern Saturday. If you want some betting insight, follow us on X. Follow us on X. I'll also say, shout to the guys from the house. Shout to Packy et al. From the house channel for doing the pregame shows. Love them. Actually pick up some nuggets in there that influence what I'm thinking for the betting, which I appreciate. And I hope they do a pregame show Saturday for the World Championship. That would be great. I'd love to hear what they have to say about some of the matches. So World Series wrapping up, and then Rob, as Nico was saying in the chat, it's on to the Masters. The Masters. Match play.
What's going on at the Masters?
I want to do that skit so bad.
I know you do.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to check my schedule. This might call for a day off. Off next Friday. Try and really get the match play in, get the match play betting experience in. So we will talk to everybody on Sunday. All right.
Cool.
Later.
All right. Peace, everybody.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.